but it always has been a very strong contender.
Yeah, it is. It's one of those ones, some people love it, some people are a little bit out on it. We've seen some big finishes on the streams using that Kyogre to take multiple prizes at the end of the game. Lost Box is a weird one because you've got your standard, your Comfy, your Sableye, your Cramorant around which you're really building the deck, and then it kind of gets a little bit interesting, shall we say.
Yes.
So
you have to discard cards from your deck, so like the very last energy recycler is like super important to get all your energy cards back. But if you manage to pull this play off, it is very strong. It is also very strong against Gardevoir, because you can use your Sableye first to get rid of your opponent's Manafi, and then have this like super strong 250 damage on 2 Pokémon play that you can pull off at the end. Let's see if Shoichi is able to actually do this, or if Todd will come up on top.
yeah, it's going to be an interesting one. I mean, I kind of love the idea of a player, especially someone as good as Todd, coming along and being like, Gardevoir's the best deck, and I'm going to spend the next year proving to you why I'm right about this. I mean, if I remember correctly, European Internationals is in April, so we're 4 months out from that. And yet, Todd's still like, nah, it's still the best deck. I've been doing it for the last 4 months. I'm back here. And, the records are incredibly important here. And the reason is this. The player who loses this game will be on 5-2. And I'm fairly sure 6-2 leaves you eliminated from top 8 contention. You're top 16, but not top 8. So that means that the loser of this game very well is probably eliminated from top 8 contention.
Yes.
The winner of this game, now we think, and this is not official, we're kind of doing, back of a napkin maths here, but we believe 6-1-1 is going to be the bubble. So that means the winner of this can either win their next game and definitely come in, or tie their next game and have a decent shout, but not guaranteed.
Yeah.
So we're not at a winning in yet, but oh my word, we are close. And it is important to note, in this tournament, for a couple of rounds now, we've had no X and O's. No player has just won every round this tournament. Everybody has either taken at least a loss or a tie.
Yeah, of course the winner of this match will have to check with the standings next round, like how many ties were there in other games. So yeah, speculating now is not. Yeah, we will calculate it once the situation arises. But right now, both of these players know they have to win. We have Todd on the one side, who had an amazing run at EOIC and also was top 16 at the regional championship in Malmö. I think he went to the North American International Championship and didn't perform very well, also playing Gardevoir. But now he brought his Gardevoir deck all the way to Japan to show everyone that Gardevoir actually really is the best deck in the format.
Sitting there at 5-1 after 6 rounds, he seems to be doing a pretty good job of it. Of course, Todd had a borderline ridiculous amount of championship points this season, one of the highest totals in the world. So very easily a day 2 player here. It was, a couple of months ago, we knew that it was pretty much impossible for enough players to do well enough to knock Todd out of top 22 contention, and yet Todd kept playing. There came a point in the tournament where Todd had where Todd had so many championship points that the idea of not making top 22 and getting that day 2 invite was essentially 0.
Yeah.
And yet just kept playing, and that's what Todd does. Even at special events where the cash prizes aren't on the line and some players choose to skip them, Todd's rocking up to them and just having a play, and it was just someone who really does seem to love this game. Now, we'll have a look at the prizes here. Nothing too terrible, bunch of one-offs, nothing which is going to cause great concern.
Exactly. Like Todd is one of these players that like choose a deck that they really like and then just try to bring it to all the tournaments and just try to win every game because you're the better player. And if you make a bad meta call, that's fine. Like you have the next tournament, you just try to become better and better at the deck you're playing. Todd's favorite deck used to be Lugia, and now he found Gardevoir, which he seems to like a lot better, as we see opening with the Mysterious Tail Mew and a Fog Crystal. You play the Crystal first, because then you have a better chance of getting a Battle VIP pass with your Mysterious Tail, which is something you really, really need to hit in this situation.
Yeah, it's all about percentages and chances, and it's a tiny, tiny one, but you start the game, so you got an opening hand of 7 cards, you draw a card, 6 prizes, so you're talking like an opening deck of 46 cards. So you look at the top 6 for Mew at 46. Well, if you take a card out with Fog Crystal, then instead of looking at the 46 card deck, you're looking at a 45 card deck. You have a very slightly higher chance of hitting that Battle VIP pass. And it's little plays like this that separate the good players from the absolutely kind of top tier players. It does seem like we're getting a routes from the Fog Crystal, which seems fairly standard. And getting a Battle VIP pass off the Mew, like you said, David, is going to be absolutely huge. Hit it here, you get a good setup looking forward to turn 2. If there's no Pokemon search off the Mew, that's when things get interesting, but not necessarily in a fun way for Tord.
Exactly. There seems to be no supporter card in Tord's hand, so if there is, of course, you cannot get a supporter card with Mew. There are some decks that play a Poké Gear, for example. That is not an option for Tord. There is also, something like a Luminion in the deck, so you really just need to get like raw draw power. Here we see the Mysterious Tail, very important, being used. We look at the top 6 cards of your deck and reveal nothing.
Literally nothing. No valid targets there, I don't think, at all.
Oh, yeah, this is looking pretty bad. I mean, you still have next turn as you're playing against Lost Zone deck.
Oh, no, Super Rod, I apologize.
Yeah, I mean, you could argue that having Super Rod is basically like not having anything. Yes. Of course, you want to put it in your hand to maximize your chances. Wasting a Super Rod like this is very unfortunate, but you just need to get the best chances that you can get. And there's of course still the chance that Tord draws into something like an Iono, for example.
Now the good news is he does have Arthas on there, so he does at least get to search for a basic Pokemon that doesn't have a rule box and pop it onto his bench. It's one of those cards you would kind of prefer not to play it if you could get away with it, because it's also going to help Shoichi here. Even if Shoichi's got his own stadium, he is definitely going to use that to go and search out a basic Pokemon on his turn before he goes about replacing that stadium. Yeah. It's one of the things about stadiums with them being double-sided. It's awkward, but sometimes you put it down, you use it, and yeah, your opponent's going to get to use it, but that's okay because you really needed it.
Yeah, and now for Tord, he has 2 energy cards in his hand, and he definitely needs to attach it somewhere. You can attach it either to a Ralts or to the active Mew, because if the next turn you draw a level ball, Tord really has to think about which Curlier he wants to get, because he plays the Mirage Step Curlier. So in theory, it probably depends on how much pressure Shoichi is putting on Tord. But next turn, Tord might just try to go into like a Mirage Step, as we see Shoichi's first turn with a Flower selecting, and putting 1 card in the Lost Zone. Unfortunately, I didn't see exactly which one it was. The Battle VIP pass coming down now, and Shoichi now would just have to prepare on how he wants to navigate the deck. In the Lost Zone deck, especially this version that Shoichi plays, you have like 2 ways to approach the early part of the game. You can let's just like use a few Comfeys at the beginning and then start attacking with Cramorant, or you just try to go extra Comfey at the beginning to get to 10 cards in the Lost Zone as fast as you can, and then use Sableye, Lost Mine ability attack to just pull out your opponent's board, because that attack goes through Manafi's Wave Veil ability, and if Tord is not fast enough evolving all of his rolls, you can just basically hinder him completely from setting up. So Shoichi really has to think about which way he wants to approach this matchup. Go for early Cramorant, or try to be a little bit more conservative, get cards in your Lost Zone, and then fighting with Sableye.
Yeah, it really depends on how much Pokemon Search we see. If you get enough Pokemon Search, you have the luxury of going for your Comfey and still getting a Cramorant down. But you're absolutely right. It is whether you want the early pressure with Cramorant or whether you just want to go and get your Comfey. Now, we do see the search going on here. Having a look, poking those energies up to the top or bottom, seeing exactly what they've got in terms of things that are left in their deck, and not really giving very much away at the moment. We've seen a deck search, and that's it. We've just seen Battle VIP Pass come down, and now it's at the point where Shoichi's going to have to try and grab a couple of cards. We do have a Comfey. And I'm an overly aggressive player to begin with. I love the idea of going Cramorant turn 1 and getting rid of that Mew. Also because you saw your opponent having a fairly slow start, so maybe getting rid of that Mew and taking away the option to have Mew's ability to draw you extra cards or get you 1 extra item card, maybe that could be something Shoichi is thinking about. For now, we've got a Comfey and a Radiant Greninja. So Shoichi's not going to be worried about drawing cards, at least for a minute or two.
Yeah, also there's still the artisan in play, so Shoichi, no, I don't know exactly why you wouldn't go for maybe a third Comfey, but it kind of depends on what you decided. And as we see, Pidgeot V, a card we have not seen very often in these decks. I'm not 100% sure what the attack name is called. Vanishing Wings.
Yep.
You can use this to shuffle Pidgeot V into the deck, which is an ability that's very helpful in the deck because this is the Kyogre Lost Zone deck. So you try to get rid of your own deck as fast as you can. And then sometimes you have situations where you just have like no deck left and you just want to get like any cards in the deck. And it's also like we see here, one Pokemon that you can just attach your Forest Seal Stone to.
Yeah, your only options for Forest Seal Stone in the deck are Pidgeot and Dragonite. Of course, we've got an item card or a tool card here, and they're not items anymore, David, that let you go and search for any card you want at all. And that's kind of a win, honestly, being able to go and do that. So, presumably, I believe that was a Colress's Experiment
yes.
we went for there. That's going to get 2 extra cards in the Lost Zone. And actually, we are now up to 4 cards in the Lost Zone, which means Cramorant is on the board, and this is awesome. So this is what I was talking about with the early pressure and getting rid of that Mew. It does seem like that is where Shoichi is going here. We see an energy attachment onto the Comfey. It can now retreat. Cramorant can get a KO on the Mew, and of course, don't forget to use the Artisan.
Yeah, Shoichi now has the option to either retreat or play an escape rope, but in a situation like this, it is very good for you to get rid of the Mew as well. Because you saw, while Todd got used Mew, didn't really get anything with it, and just a single level ball can completely change the whole course of this game. And of course, Shoichi doesn't know whether Todd has another level ball in his hand, maybe that he's just trying to save for later use. But yeah, the Lost Zone deck really needs to be aware of its own chances for everything. As we see Shoichi just retreating, not using the escape rope, good play in my opinion, and just taking out the Mew, hindering Todd's setup, who now I think is just going to pray that the top card of the deck is a good one.
Yeah, the top deck here for Todd, absolutely huge. What are we going to see? I don't know, is the honest answer. Hey, the decks are coming slightly into the camera now. Oh, no, Shoichi's gone again. Now it's back. Hey, there we go. So we've got the decks, the discard piles, and we've got the Lost Zone there. Have we seen Todd's top deck?
Okay, let's see. Any way to search for a Pokemon or a supporter card? What will this be? It is
Forest Seal Stone, but there's no Pokemon V on which to put it.
Yeah.
So it's a great card, just so long as you've got a Pokemon V to actually use. Lights go down, don't worry about it, they're back, we're good. And the problem is, we saw Shoichi put it on a Pidgeot. Todd generally wants to pop it on a Zacian, or a Luminium would work as well. Neither of those is there, so...
Oh, we have the Super Rod Artisan play, something I didn't even think about. When you knock out the Mew and the Artisan is still in play, Todd even revealed that he had a Super Rod in hand, so he can just shuffle Mew back, use Artisan to search for Mew, retreat into Mew, and these are the kind of plays that prove every time that there's a reason I'm sitting here and not over there.
But the Super Rod came from the Mew.
Exactly, yeah.
And now it's being used to rescue the Mew. Of course, what would be amazing is if Todd could use Artisan to get Zacian V and then pop a Forest Seal Stone. But of course, it is only a basic non-rule box Pokemon, so he gets Mew in the active. Is there anything?
I think there is no item.
Oh my, so 2 uses of Mew, and the best we've seen is a Super Rod. And that's the kind of thing that ends games, frankly. There's just nothing.
There is one more Super Rod in Todd's hand. I mean, yeah, he's just trying to go for it. If your opponent is just attacking with Cramorant, sometimes, who knows what happens from now on.
It's not looking ideal.
Yeah.
I mean, essentially here, Shoichi can do literally nothing and get a KO on that Mew. That Mew is getting KO'd regardless. So for Shoichi here, it's just set up your board as well as you can this turn, and try and get some more cards in the Lost Zone if you can, and then go. The problem is we are getting pretty close to a situation where Shoichi is going to start being able to use Sableye Lost Mine to potentially KO those routes. And sure, there isn't a bench space now, but remember that Pidgeot V can always just go away, and then that will create a bench space. And if I'm Shoichi, I'm thinking I've got 1 or 2 turns here until I can just KO all of those routes, and at that point the game will very truly be over.
Yeah, and Shoichi's now just using Comfey to get into a few more Pokemon, in a few more cards in the Lost Zone. See a Chorus Experiment, which allows you to put 2 more cards in the Lost Zone as well, and even a Lost Vacuum, which you can use to put, in theory, even 2 cards into the Lost Zone, depending on what you want to discard. Often this card is just used to get into the Lost Zone faster. But yeah, there is unfortunately no bench space, so getting to 10 immediately now is
Pidgeot.
True, yeah.
Pidgeot's ability can get it off the bench.
Yes, you're correct.
If he uses, now he's not done it here, he could have used Lost Vacuum. If he takes Lost Vacuum, uses it on his own Forest Seal Stone, Lost Stone's a card from his hand, that would have got him to 10. Pidgeot goes away, but I don't think he had everything he needed to get the Sableye down with an energy and into the active. Because you've got to think, if we can see a route to 10, Shoichi can see a route to 10, and that would have just been devastating. As it is, Cresselia's 10 damage away from being KO'd. Oh, and Todd's got an Iono.
Yeah, Todd got saved by the top of his deck here. And probably, we might have even seen a scoop if like nothing came from that, because at some point there's like no way to keep up. The only reason you wouldn't scoop is if Todd thinks, well, this matchup isn't so nice anyway, so I'm like fine with a tie. Let's just play game 1. Maybe I get lucky and win. If I don't get lucky, I have to win game 2. And then if I win game 2, then it's a tie, and it just, then it might be just like that. But Todd has bigger plans. We see Artisan for Mew, which is important because the Lost Zone deck can use Greninja's
Manaphy.
Oh, Manaphy, I'm sorry. Can use Greninja's Moonlight Shuriken attack to take knockouts on 2 Curlias is incredibly devastating, especially if your opponent's already ahead. So now the setup is looking very fine. Just a little bit too late.
He's got an Ultra Ball in hand. Now, he did actually use Level Ball to go for Curlia here. And the question is, do you go Refinement Curlia, discard cast from your hand, draw with Refinement, and try and build up that way? Or do you just go for a Mirage Step and try and get all of your Curlia out at once? You kind of need to make that decision because, of course, you can only evolve, into one Curlia or the other. It looks like we did just evolve both of them into Refinement Curlia.
Yes.
We got Mew into the active. Annoyingly, could have a Battle VIP pass. Bit too late, but it will be fuel for Refinement Curlia next turn.
Exactly, and it's also just one card that you can fill your Ultra Ball with.
Or Ultra Ball.
Yeah, Todd is now thinking about playing the Ultra Ball to just get to the last Curlia. Rolls, sorry. To go for the last rolls, so next turn you can see a Rare Candy or another Curlia. And Todd is in theory able to start attacking next turn.
But see, that's my problem. Like Shoichi here, you've got to imagine Sableye's coming down this turn. Like last turn, Shoichi could have really extended to get to 10 cards in the Lost Zone, but doing that while getting Sableye out seemed a bit too much. Here, getting to 10 cards in the Lost Zone should be pretty easy, and then you can go ahead and try and get the Sableye and, take at least 2 KOs here. You're going to be able to go for the routes and the Cresselia, and there'll still be some damage left over here. Or indeed, I believe you can go for the Curlia and Cresselia with some damage left over. So there's a lot of options. Oh, there's free Mirage Gate in hand.
But there's also Lost Vacuum, so you can go to 10 prize cards, use Pidgeot's ability, use Mirage, get Sableye with the Nest Ball.
Or Artisan.
And then, or Artisan. And then you can use Mirage Gate, attach active, attach to Sableye, and start spreading damage. Now is the turn to do it.
I think this is absolutely going to be the play because you get 2 energy with Mirage Gate. They have to be different types. They do not have to be to the same Pokemon. They can be to the same or to different. So 1 on the Cramorant for the Retreat, 1 on the Sableye. And there's a lot of options here. You could go after the Manaphy. You could go after the routes. There's 10 damage left on the Cresselia. You could go after that. You could go after your Curlia. What you could do is you could potentially take out any of the bench Pokemon plus Cresselia, or you can start spreading damage around. And personally, I like taking out, I think I want to go one of the Curlias and the Cresselia, honestly. That would be my preference.
Yeah, Cresselia can be annoying to deal with, but for Shoichi this is a pretty difficult decision because there is a very easy knockout on rolls and also on mana fee, which if the mana fee is knocked out, it kind of forces Tor to get it back in. But yeah, having the mana fee there also applies pressure on the bench space, and if you don't knock out the Courier is able to heal damage, put some damage on the bench. As we see Shoichi here with the very strong, I think, way to put the damage counters with 30 on Mew. Mew is something that will probably not be in the active spot later in the game. It's just like an easy prize card that you can pick up. And Shoichi doesn't really know what the Curlier and what the Rods is going to evolve into. So putting the 30 last damage on the Mew is pretty good. You don't want to choose the Manafi because you don't want to have damage on the Manafi, because Gardevoir EX is not able to damage the Manafi itself, so you cannot put damage on it yourself to use a Cresselia, for example.
Yeah.
So having no damage on Manafi always limits Cresselia's damage output to only 100, which is important in some situations. So very good damage placement, I think.
I agree with you there. The only reason to get the Manaphy would basically be to go, look, I'm going to be planning to use Greninja in the next turn or two, and I need to get rid of it. Turns out Shoichi agreed with me, did get rid of the Curlier and the Cresselia, and then, the extra free on the Mew. So 2 prizes for Shoichi there. Only 3 prizes remaining, getting very close to ending this game, and might not even have to take out a Gardevoir EX at this point. Might be able to, use Sableye and other attackers to just go after those smaller bench Pokemon and just seal up the game that way. Toward good news is we've still got 1 Refinement Curlier on the board. We'll be looking for either a Candy Gardevoir or another Curlier. We do have an Ultra Ball in hand, so it seems like we evolve the Curlier into Gardevoir, and then presumably we're going to see an Ultra Ball for a Curlier here, just to use Refinement and do a bit better. And it looks like we're actually using Lost Vacuum here for Tord to get rid of his own Artisan, because Shoichi's using it too much.
Yeah, the problem with the benched rolls is that if you evolve it into Curlier, then Shoichi can just recycle the Sableye and take the knockout on the benched Curlier and the active Mew. And then all Shoichi needs is Sableye energy to win the game by just knocking out Manafi. So this is actually really complicated for Tord, because if he just evolves Krauls into Curlier, that will basically lose him the game on the spot. So Tord really just needs to draw into Rare Candy Gardevoir. He got Zacian and Forest Seal Stone, so he's just able to search his deck for the Rare Candy, use Rare Candy into Gardevoir. This is, I think, the only line of play that allows Tord to still win this game, and he's going for it.
Yeah, excellent point made there, David, with the Curlier just not being quite good enough. I'd say that the Curlier is coming out. Is it just deck thinning?
Yes.
We got 2 Curlier coming out here. And yeah, you want to make sure that you've got the maximum amount of chances to draw into what you need. Now, the Mew I don't think has been used yet this turn.
Not 100% sure. He resuggested retreat, so it probably was. And now Tord can use Cresselia to get rid of a little bit of damage from the Mew. Attaches
just
1,
attaching with
2,
the EX here, just
3
the more you... Every time you attach, there's 2 damage counters, just doing enough to then move it over. So we didn't see it actually placed, but essentially every time an energy was placed with Gardevoir EX, it put 2 damage counters on the Pokemon. Cresselia moves 2 from each of your Pokemon onto somebody like the Sableye. So that's how that KO came about there, with the single energy on Cresselia.
Yeah.
Shoichi here, there's a Comfey in the active, and is really, it's working towards a bunch of stuff, but honestly, you're going to need to prepare to take out a Gardevoir. You could go Sableye here and take a cheeky prize, but sooner or later you're going to need to set up something that can deal with one of those, well, really the Gardevoir EX.
Yeah, very interesting for Tord. He played Iono and shuffled, I think all of the... Oh no, yeah, there is a Mirage Gate here. I thought almost all of the Mirage Gates are now at the bottom of the deck, but yeah, there is 1 still left. Using Sableye can get you down to 1 prize card, and then Tord's last chance is to just play Iono and start using Pokemon that don't get knocked out easily. As Shoichi is just now trying to prepare for all possibilities, attaching energy cards. He hasn't decided where to put them yet. Yeah, Cramorant, interesting, and Radiant Greninja.
you've got to imagine Cramorant is just as a pivoting option. I
Yes.
don't think we're going to see paying to attack with Cramorant here. We do, however, see Sableye coming in, and yeah, it is as we expected. And actually gets a double KO on the Mew and the Manaphy here, both of them very much in range because of what we saw, you know, previously with those damage counters down. So now the question becomes, can Shoichi take one last prize? That Cresselia is in range of a Sableye, so Sableye energy next turn. If Shoichi can pull it off, and there are already 2 Sableye in the deck, so we need to do some recovery, but that would end the game for Shoichi.
Yeah, so Todd really now is just hoping to get to draw into the last Iono from this Shining Arcana, which he did not. So it's just attach energy to Gardevoir, use the EX because it has a lot of HP, and just hope your opponent doesn't have all the pieces he needs to finish this game off. As you see a Pulpet coming down, recycling 2 of the Ionos. Yeah, Todd's big win option here. All he can do at this point is just, yeah, retreat the Curlia, attack with Gardevoir EX, and just hope your opponent doesn't have an answer to it.
Fingers crossed, that is absolutely what you want to be doing here. It's not an ideal situation, but it gets you where you need to be, and if it works, then Todd is going to be going up 1-0. The winner of this game, of course, is going to have the inside track into top 8, so it's really is a very, very big game. The loser should be eliminated from top 8 contention. This is a very, very, very important game.
Yeah, and especially this turn also very important. They are Todd playing a Professor's Research to draw more cards. Now there's, I don't know, in hand. Shoichi now needs to get something going. Yeah, just using flower selecting. Yeah, very easy choices here, but not exactly what he needs. He really wants like one way to recycle the Sableye. But there is already, I think they're both in the Discord pile.
There is an excellent chance that there is. We're going extra comfy here, trying to do
Oh, and here is a Clara, yeah, that's it.
Clara
as long as he has a way to retreat, escape rope, yes. And Todd knows exactly what's going on. He's just like trying to get it done to get to the next game as fast as possible. As you see, Shoichi Saito winning game number 1, going up. He has amazing chances to advance to top 8 of the World Championship. He's basically only 1 win away, and then unless some funny stuff happens, next round should be fine as well.
Yeah, he's looking pretty good, of course. We often see this at the end of games where the players kind of, the last card is played and we don't go through the motions because both players are like, right, let's go to the next game. But the Clara just recovered the Sableye and the Psychic Energy two-hand. So it was just play it down. You got the switch, boom, job's a good one. And Sableye dropped 12 damage counters onto presumably the Cresselia, got the KO, and we are headed to game 2 in this pivotal match. We are really starting to get down to the point in the tournament now where all of these games at the top tables are so crucial to determining our top 8. And yes, top 16, top 32, these are phenomenal achievements. They will be the pinnacle of some players' careers, and I mean that in an extremely positive way. And these players are going to get fantastic prizes, great championship points to get them set up for next year. And, you know, just being able to tell people, I got top 16 at Worlds. But on the stream at the moment, our focus is who is going to be making it into top 8. And these games on the top tables at the moment are so crucial. And there we see that final Sableye coming forward with the energy, and Todd going, okay, cool, game 2.
Yeah, from Todd's perspective, he probably just hopes to win this game, get out a tie, and then next round you can win once more to get into the top 8, but it is an uphill battle from here.
Yeah, it's not going to be easy, of course. You know, this is another one of those matchups. I've heard it said both ways. Some people are convinced the Gardevoir has a decent Lost Zone matchup when it sets up, and I've had other people try and convince me that actually Lost Zone is a phenomenal matchup going into Gardevoir. It's one of the ones they want to see. I think a lot of this may well depend on the exact build you're playing, but Shoichi certainly showed us last game how it can work. It is worth noting, Todd had a very bad start last game.
Yes, this is completely true. This is one of these starts where I think a lot of players would have just scooped, but yeah, Todd was just trying to win. He knew, well, I still have the option to use Iono later. But if I scoop now, then it's like 1-1. My opponent just needs to win one more game, and then it's almost impossible for me to tie. So Todd just thought, well, just let's try to win this game. And if I lose, then I can still make it a time from game 2. But then it's a tie. Because against the Lost Zone deck, the matchup isn't too well anyways. And yeah, a tie is not too bad in this situation, especially Todd is probably pretty confident that he will be able to win one more round, as we see his first turn, starting with a Battle VIP pass on Greninja and Rolls. This is already looking completely different from game 1.
Yeah, that Battle VIP pass turn 1, absolutely crucial. Of course, Raining Greninja is going to allow him to draw a couple of cards with concealed cards. He's already got double routes. Hopefully he can draw something off of here. I believe I saw a Curlier. We've got a Luminion in hand. That's not much good turn 1 going first, but we do have a Zacian. Energy on Zacian. I like this. Now we're going to see Roar of the Sword getting another energy to end towards turn. Bearing in mind, of course, you can't attack turn 1 going first anyway. But there is a Pidgeot V on Shoichi's side of the board. Now, I know that that's got the ability that can put it back into the deck, but anything along those lines, Tord is going to be able to get a Zacian rolling as early as next turn and start taking prizes. Shoichi's deck can sometimes take a couple of turns to build up to the point where it can KO something like a Zacian. So Tord could actually be the aggressor in this game, getting some early prizes with that Zacian if that's the way he wants to go.
Yeah, using an early Zacian is not too bad because well, the worst thing your opponent can basically do is just like to take into it with the Cramorant, but then you take one prize card, your opponent kind of tries to knock out your Zacian V with that Cramorant, you just trade it 2 for 2, but while the Zacian was active, you had like a very threatening Pokemon that your opponent had to deal with somewhat, and you can like just set up during that time. The only problem is to get the active rolls out of the active spot, as we see the Luminion coming down for Tord. Yeah, something he didn't have for game 1, which he probably would have loved to see.
Would have been nice. He's got the Professor's Research off of the Luminion. That means he can discard his hand, draw another 7 cards. That is going to be big. It's going to cost him a couple of energy, but of course, it's Gardevoir. You love having energy in the discard pile to accelerate with Gardevoir EX. But first, we are going to see an Ultra Ball coming down here to get another Pokemon, and you can either get one to bench or you can get one to fin your deck. Early on like this, you probably want something you're actually going to use like a Routes, and this is a great setup. You've got 3 routes, you've got your Raiding Greninja, you've got your Zacian with a couple of energy. You don't really want the minion on the field, truth be told, but this is one of those necessary evils.
Like rare Candy Gardevoir would be very nice here, but yeah, we see a refinement being set up, but not used yet because you first want the information of the Professor's Research, to then get more cards like in your hand in general. You could have like discarded the Power Pad, but the 2 cards you draw, you probably had to discard anyways. He's a Raiding Greninja. Let's see, what is this? Not exactly what Todd was looking for.
No, we've got Ultra Ball, but there's no rare candy as it is at the moment, unfortunately. So we can drop a Mew and a Manaphy with an Ultra Ball.
Yes.
And we're just going to go for another Curlier. No, it's not the Gardevoir. I remember one of those routes has played this turn, can't evolve yet. But this is still, when you compare it to last turn, very, very good. And of course, the attachment for the turn, if there's a pivoting option, can go onto the Zacian, and you won't. This is awkward. I think Shoichi's done this deliberately, David. If Zacian attacks into Pidgeot, he's just going to retreat and get rid of the damage, isn't he?
Oh yeah, it's not enough, right? It's not enough for knockout. Like Todd really needed the Gardevoir EX in play for that play to be a possibility. Yeah, but if you don't have the Gardevoir EX in play, you cannot retreat and attack at the same time.
No.
So here we just see Todd using Zacian's ability, Roar of the Sword, to attach an energy card. As we see, this game is looking completely different from game 1, number 1. Todd even discarded Manaphy and Mew, 2 very important cards in game number 1. Because now Todd is just trying to be aggressive. Maybe even he sees an option for him to just win the whole match as well, if he plays fast enough.
I mean, that would be pretty good. Time is coming down. We've got 20 minutes, which seems like an awful lot of time. But to finish off this before anyone's even taken a prize and then get through another game, that is going to be a tall task. And I think the speed with which Tord plays here is going to be very instructive as to exactly what he thinks his chances are of winning the match. There is a huge difference between winning and tying here. Winning gets you almost over the hump. Tying gives you a chance. But then again, losing pretty much eliminates you, so there's also a big difference there. Oh, and annoyingly, Tord has a rare candy. I mean, it's cool that he gets to use it this term. Would have been great last term. But we have a level ball coming in here as well, just a bit of deck finning. There's no space on the bench. But there we see another level ball, bit of finning, no space on the bench. And do we have a way to get the Gardevoir EX? It's already in hand, because that would be absolutely lovely here. Of course, course, we've got a couple of refinement
Yeah,
we
and
can
here
use
it is.
first.
God of War EX has hit,
drawn
his hand. And you see Todd is playing super fast because he realizes, oh, well, my opponent is not drawing well at all, so I can just win this game. And then next game, if it takes a long of time, well, then it's a tie. But if it doesn't take a lot of time, then I can just like win this series and get into top out of the World Championship. This is why Todd is just trying his best to play as fast as he can humanly do. We see Forest Sealstone grabbing a boss's orders.
Love it.
There was
Absolutely
no supporter card played yet.
Nope. There's the boss's orders onto the Pidgeot. Like we've said, that ability lets it kind of get out of dodge. So you want to try and make sure that you bring it up into the active and try and KO it while it's still there. 2 easy prizes on the board, and Tord is playing fast. He's clearly going to some aggressive line to play, and it looks like we're going to get a KO on that Pidgeot V for 2 prizes here. And that is going to give Tord a big advantage as we go forward into this game too. Tord clearly playing like somebody who thinks there is still just enough time to win this series.
Yeah, usually the Lost Zone deck can win by applying a lot of pressure early on. But now Tord is... Oh, and Shoichi is even conceding this game, putting the match to 1-1 with almost 20 minutes left on the clock. Yeah, you can see Tord smiling. He knows exactly, well, if I can still win this. If I win this game, I'm almost secured for the top 8 at the World Championship. But the same is true for Shoichi. Shoichi knows he already won this game. He probably tested a lot against the God of War deck, as it is a very popular one. He is also very sure. He knows exactly how to maneuver this match. This is the exact reason why he forfeited this one game. He knows, well, if I can get 20 minutes, like a whole 20-minute game, I'm very confident I can win. So let's just get done with it.
Yeah, agree entirely on that one. And as a caster, I kind of love the quick concession because it did seem like the writing was on the wall that game.
Yes, exactly.
It did seem like Tor was in such a great position after that Pidgeot KO we just saw on the replay. And, you know, purely selfishly, I want to see a proper game 3. We might not have had time for a proper game 3, but it's not about us and about the stream. It is about the players. That's who the tournament is for, and that's who the concession was for. That was Shoichi basically saying to us, I don't want to tie. Tying is not going to do me any good here. I want to win, and it's not I've got no chance of winning this game. It's I've got 20% chance of winning this game. That's not enough. I would rather go to game 3 and have a 55-60% chance of winning this game if that's where he feels. We did see 2 Comfey.
Yes, 2 Comfey prize might be a problem. Also starting Dragonite V might be a problem. This is already not looking too amazing for Shoichi here. But yeah, what I just was about to say, Shoichi is one of the few Japanese players that actually played tournaments outside of Japan. He was top 16, I think, at the North American International Championship. He knows exactly how ties work. He knows exactly how 15 minutes best of 3 works, and he's very confident that he is able to, pull through this tournament here. And if you go to another region to play Pokemon purely to play the tournament because championship points from the USA do nothing for Shoichi's invitation, that just means you love Pokemon. And if you love Pokemon so much, to fly to different continents just to play more tournaments, I think he is also one of the people that deserve the win as well.
Yeah, that is pretty impressive, quite frankly. We do see a Radiant Greninja there on the bench. It looks like we are eyeing up a Cramorant coming out here as well. It really just depends what's in Shoichi's hand, whether he's going to be able to pull it off. Generally speaking, so the Nest Ball is for Radiant Greninja.
Yes.
Okay, so he was eyeing up the Cramorant, but it is a Radiant Greninja. Has to be the first one you get out here because you can discard that energy card using your sealed cards, draw yourself a couple of cards, and just roll from there. It's an okay first Pokemon, but we need to get some Comfey, and 2 of them are in the prizes, so naturally drawing into them. Oh, but a Battle VIP
very nice,
pass.
yeah.
You might not naturally draw into them, but I feel confident. And here's the thing, right? Shoichi just looked at his deck and realized that 2 Comfey a prize. That means you're almost certainly going 2 Comfey off Battle VIP pass because you know you're not going to be drawing into them. So, and they are so important. And yeah, straight away, double Comfey there had to be the play.
There's also the Forest Sealstone in hand, so in theory, Shoichi, getting the Dragonite out of the active spot, you need like some kind of switching card, which he doesn't have yet, but I think there might also be a Colress. I'm not entirely sure about the hand cards in Shoichi's hand. We might see the Forest Seal Stone come down. This would be, I think, a very good situation to do this. Of course, Todd probably with the Gardevoir deck doesn't play. Oh yeah, the hand does not look as good. So probably there's even a consideration to use like Forest Seal Stone or Chorus, for example, just to get like more cards in general. This turn, of course, you cannot do it yet because it's the first turn. As we see Todd opening with his own Battle VIP pass. This is going to be an interesting game.
Yeah, it looks like both players are going to get some kind of setup going here. Of course, 15 minutes is long enough to play a game, but these players are going to need to hurry a little bit. At the end of 15 minutes, or 14 minutes now, we will get the free extra turns shared between the players. But this is one of those where you need to kind of start rolling. You'll see Tord playing a little bit slower now, thinking he's got a bit more time than he did, back in game 2. But this is still one we don't want to be waiting too long or mucking about here, because if you just wait even a tiny bit, you could potentially end up in trouble.
Yeah, Todd knows when he has to play fast, but if you play too fast, you can't think. Like some people play faster than they can think because they know, well, if I make like a misplay, I lose. But if I play slow, I also lose. So let's just play fast and just hope I don't make any misplays. This is not one of these situations now. Todd's just trying to play optimally, taking his time, but also not too much time. You can see just a Battle VIP pass, get the 3 rolls in play, roll the sword, attach an energy card, and Shoichi is also trying to hurry up a little bit as we finally see the Forest Seal Stone. I didn't want to go for it last turn for a Chorus experiment, just like anticipated.
Yeah, absolutely. So here we see Chorus's experiment coming down. We've got some extra cards in the Lost Zone. I don't see exactly what they are, unfortunately. They're slightly off to the side there. But you're getting 3 extra cards, and there's some good ones in there. I saw a Mirage Gate as he was flicking. And we see just...
It's still the decision for the other card to put in the Lost Zone.
Yes,
right
absolutely.
Now, so
one's gone in the Lost Zone. The other one, Shoichi is thinking here.
So it was the nest ball.
Looks to be.
Yeah, the nest ball was put in the Lost Zone, and then there is an escape rope in Shoichi's hand, so you can use escape rope, pivot out of the active Dragonite, start to use flower selecting. Artisan also hits the field, eyeing up a Cramorant. As we see, Shoichi's strategy in this game is just to get some cards in the Lost Zone, attack with Cramorant, Lost Provisions allows you to attack. Yeah, with Split Innocently, a very funny attack name. 110 damage, just to get a 2-hit knockout on the Zacian V, which is very valuable because it gives 2 prize cards. Last game we talked about like how it's fine to use Zacian at the beginning because, well, you can draw 1 prize card and then you're kind of like trading 2 for 2. But while you do this, you can still set up. Oh yeah, but there's escape rope, so yeah, Zacian leaves the active spot, so even better for Shoichi, who now plays in Hisui Heavy Ball. He has a choice between Sableye or Comfey, and looks like he's going for the Sableye, putting it into his hand.
The thing is, if Shoichi can actually get to 4 cards in the Lost Zone, which is generally not that difficult, then that means we are actually going to get Cramorant being able to just, straight away get this KO on the routes. It's why the escape rope was so good. The bench of Tord was routes, routes, routes. So when you play an escape rope, you know a routes is coming active. Cramorant, and then they are 5 cards in the Lost Zone, so nice and easy. Spit innocently, take a KO. Shoichi's in control of this game.
Yeah, we saw the Lost Vacuum being very strong. Also not getting rid of the Forest Seal Stone, which we often see, but of the Artisan, because Shoichi knows, well, my bench is or not. I have a Sableye in my hand. I don't really want to bench anything anyways, but keeping the Artisan in play is just good for Todd, so why not get rid of it?
I agree. Why not get rid of it? Get rid of it. Go on with your life. Job is a good one. Now, Tord has used a level ball there to grab a Curlier out. There's only 2 routes here. It would be great to get maybe a rare Candy Gardevoir if possible, but you don't need... No, you still need at least 1 energy accelerator to the Zacian.
There's also the option to use Mirage Step, but Todd just Refinement into another Curlier, so now, well, he either needs to bench Leminion to use Iono, if he wants to go for the Mirage Step, or just hope to draw. But yeah, there is also Super Rod in hand. This is a very difficult decision, as it seems like Todd is just trying to go for the Iono play, put the Curlier on bottom of the deck, then use Mirage Step to full out the Curlier back, put it on the bench to fill out your spots. And Mirage Step is very nice because it lets you have rolls that you can use Rare Candy on later on in the game. Of course, not optimally to put the minion on the bench. You don't really want to do this. It's a liability for your opponent.
Of course.
Because it can get bosses later or just, yeah, some damage on it. And like we mentioned earlier, you cannot put damage counters on water Pokemon, so it also makes Crusader a little bit weirder. But Todd knows, well, this is my best chance. And I think he drew into the other Crusader, which is very unfortunate for him.
Not ideal, but we do have the Mirage Step here. There's 2 bench spaces remaining, and there's no Curlier in the prizes. I don't think there's any in hand.
But yeah, there is one in hand, I think.
Oh, there is
one.
one.
Oh, no, there's not. Oh,
okay.
sorry, I correct myself, yes.
So
I
there
think I
are
saw
all
one.
available. We got all of the Curlier out there, and this is looking very, very good for Tord in terms of board setup. He's got all of his Curlier. He's got his Zacian. The problem is, Shoichi is a prize up. We've only got 9 minutes left, and Shoichi is going to get another prize. Like, he could literally just draw an attack and get a KO on that Curlier. So everything else this turn is just further setting up Shoichi's board, trying to make sure he's got what he needs, but he is going to be 2 prizes up going into Tord's turn. So great setup from Tord, nice recovery, second time on stream this weekend. We've seen that Mirage Step be so, so useful and so crucial to getting that setup.
Oh.
But he needs to start taking prizes.
We see a Mirage Gate entering the field. Shoichi double-checked the Lost Zone. Yeah, our Lost Zone counter was a little bit off there. But this allows him to use Radiant Greninja to even not just take a knockout on the active Curlier, but take a knockout on 2 Curlier of his choosing. And you can see, it's a very difficult choice for him. I don't know exactly what the correct play is here. Todd's bench is full, so there's, oh god, yeah. This is the face you make when you're not one. He knows exactly if he makes the right choices this game, he is on the path to become the world champion. But it's such a high pressure situation and such a difficult choice here. As we see, no water energy card in that mix, as he's just, it looks like just charging up some Pokemon to, energy to Cramorant and 1 energy to Radiant. Yeah, this is a difficult choice.
Yeah, clearly not going forward. And the Radiant Greninja play, had it come off, would have been an absolute game changer there. Getting rid of a couple of Curlier with a Manaphy out, that would have been huge. Really putting Tord down to an awkward situation. Get rid of a couple of Refinement Curlier, so there's only really 2 extra cards to draw to start next turn. But the thing is, there's always a right choice with these kind of things. You just don't know it until you've actually gone through the game and kind of seen it firsthand. It's easy in hindsight.
Oh, yeah, there's not been an energy attachment yet. Oh, and Shoichi even got the psychic energy, so there's even a possibility to attack with Sableye now, because there is, I'm pretty sure there's a chorus and a switch card in Shoichi's hand, but he's opting not to go for the Sableye play, just taking the knockout on the active Curlier.
Yeah, I like this. You're taking prizes, you're putting Tord in an awkward situation, It's all well and good having all these Curlier around, but you start getting rid of some and it really starts taking away options. And Tord, the Mirage Step really has saved him last turn because there are still 3 Curlier there. So they can all still evolve.
Yes.
And you'd rather have 4, but 3 is not a bad consolation plan. If I'm Shoichi, I'm going a little more aggressive here. I'm seeing if I can extend and get that Radiant Greninja attacking. But the problem is, if you do extend that much, you end up running out of resources, and that is a bit of a problem. There are 2 water energy prize, but there are 5 in the deck for Shoichi, so no big, huge problem there.
Yeah, I think there were already some in the discard pile, which is probably the reason why Shoichi didn't go for that Trading Greninja play. He also discarded, I think he discarded some with like concealed cards. So yeah, very problematic situation to deal with. As we see now going over to Tord's turn. The players seem like they are talking to the judge in some capacity. We will be updated probably in a bit what this is exactly about.
Yeah, we have ways to be communicated with. When there is something to be told, we will be told. Until then, unfortunately, ladies and gentlemen, we are just going to have to hold tight. But like I say, as soon as we have any information, we will share it with you. We're nice like that. So looking at this matchup then, Tord, it seems like we're actually already back. So whatever it was, it did not take very long. So we've got Refinement coming in from Tord there. Oh, it looks like... I'm just trying to get confirmation before I share this.
Yeah.
Let's wait to hear exactly what's happened. Now, I'm hearing...
It seems like there was a double price card
Looks like
penalty.
there might be a double price card penalty for Shoichi. Now, it's an escalation of slow play. So there are now 7 minutes left. Let's wait for the graphic to update to really show.
Yes.
There we go. So Tord now only has to take 4 prizes to actually win this game. That is a big change.
And this changes this game completely. This can just turn it around for Todd to win this game. He only needs to draw 4 prize cards now, and he just took one with Gardevoir, so it's basically even. No, it's not even. It's not just even. Todd is even ahead.
Tord is
which
ahead.
is usually some situation if your opponent with Gardevoir is ahead, it's almost impossible for the Lost Zone deck to come back. But this is 1-1, so Shoichi has no other option than trying to win this game as well. Yeah, very unfortunate situation here.
Yeah, essentially, so slow playing, playing too slowly, essentially, it is a punishable action in Pokemon TCG. You can receive penalties for it. If it's something that happens a few times throughout the tournament, it will be escalated to a double prize card penalty. But just to be clear, it's not a one-time thing. This is an escalation from further penalties earlier on in the tournament. But I don't want to talk about that anymore. I want to talk about this game. Shoichi needs to start taking prizes here. He needs to start getting aggressive. There are 5 minutes remaining, and Tord's got a Gardevoir, and Tord's got 2 Curlier. And this is what you were saying, David. It's slow in the early game for Gardevoir, but once you get those Curlier, once you get those Gardevoir, you really start running ahead with the game. And it's hard for a deck like Lost Zone to start KOing these Gardevoir unless you start going aggressive with something like a Dragonite, which of course could potentially give up 2 prizes from something like a Zacian. And this is essentially where we are in the game. Shoichi needs to get rid of that Gardevoir, but if you use Dragonite to do it, are you just giving your opponent an easy way to trade 2 prizes with the Zacian, bearing in mind your opponent is essentially 1 prize ahead of you now?
Yeah, another option would be just to go aggressive with Sableye, take a knockout on Manaphy, hope your opponent cannot replace it, and then have this like very big Kyogre knockout for 2 more prizes later on in the game. This is also something that I can see. It's definitely not over for Shoichi yet. It's just an uphill battle, which is something I usually don't want to fight in a Lost Zone deck. This is one of these decks that try to go, get there earlier, right? So we see a very easy Choruses experiment, or not maybe. Well, there's a Battle VIP pass, so.
There's a Choruses experiment there on the field. So yeah, there's 5 cards. 2 of them go back into the Lost Zone. We've got a Nest Ball. We've got a Choruses experiment for next turn. So lots of options for Shoichi here, but we are running out of time. And you said about the Sableye, David, there is one on the board now, and there is a Psychic Energy in hand. So as long as there's a pivot, and with that many cards in hand in this deck, you've got to believe there's a pivot. If Shoichi wants to go down the Sableye route, yeah, there is a switch card in hand. So yeah, if Shoichi wants to go for the Sableye here, it is absolutely on the board, should he wish to do so.
Yeah, and also you just saw the timer tick up a little bit. There was extra time given here because of the translation. Yeah, for Shoichi, it's sometimes what the judges say has to be translated into Japanese. Yeah, and both of these players now they have to play really quick now. Yeah, so we see Shoichi escape robe. This helps Todd a little bit because of the reversal energy. And yeah, there will definitely be a Sableye, so it doesn't really matter for Todd what he puts active, he knows. Well, Sableye can damage whatever it wants. So Todd just puts a Pokemon active that he can easily retreat.
Yeah, I agree with that one. So we do have, now a Super Rod coming down as well. So it's just going to be a bunch of energy, 2 Psychic and 1 Water being shuffled back into the deck using that Super Rod. And now the question is, where is the damage going from Lost Mine? You can get a KO on either of the Curlier, you can get a KO on the Manaphy, each of which would give you some left over. If you think you're going to be able to get multiple uses with Sableye, then that will change things a little bit. Or like you've said, you can just get rid of the Manaphy and start building up for that giant KO go in a minute. But that's the question is, we haven't seen it built up yet. Is this something we could see? And yeah, clearly not going for the Kyogre play, or you would have gone for the Manaphy there.
Yeah, I would have thought. It seems like he's still reconsidering, just putting the damage counters in a little bit of a different way. Yeah, there's 40 damage left. Now it's a little bit weird to put any damage on Manaphy now because of a potential Cresselia play. You can then use Cresselia, take a knockout on the Sableye, making it even more difficult for Shoichi. Seems like he's tempted to put it on the Leminian, okay, yeah. Todd is now, yeah, Todd knows he has to just be quick. No time to think about too much. But yeah, even no matter how fast you make your decision, these decks just take a lot of time to actually perform the action, as we see Curlia going down. Yeah, and what I talked about, putting damage counters on any water Pokemon against this deck is super difficult. As we see, the boss's orders. So Todd can just, yeah, put all energy cards on Gardevoir. As we see another reversal energy for the Gardevoir. This should be enough damage to take the knockout on Gardevoir. 6 energy cards, 240 damage right now. Todd can still prepare some stuff for the future. Yeah, just really needs to make sure, take the knockout, and then, yeah, is this checkmate? It looks like it.
It's very, very close to checkmate because, of course, Gardevoir is going to be able to make sure you've got enough energy on to KO anything next turn. And this is the cool thing about the way prize card penalties work now. It used to be that you would take the prizes, but actually in this situation, if Todd had taken the prizes, those reversal energy would not be activated and it would be hurting Todd. So what we do now is instead of taking the prizes, we say you have to take 2 fewer. So Todd is technically behind on prizes, and reversal energy totally activates here. So just making sure, I think Todd discarded a bit too much energy with the...
he accidentally moved the die, so there was a different amount of damage showing on the Zacian, and they were just discussing how much damage it was supposed to be. Yeah, Todd's still trying to get this done as fast as possible. He knows the only thing that could stand in his way would be this game going to time, and then Shoichi doing something like stalling. For example, you could put the Mana Fee active.
You could.
And
well,
then,
there's a KO with Gardevoir. Todd Reklev has 1 prize remaining before he wins this game. He has got 2 big Gardevoir up and ready to take the attack. Shoichi at this stage, I mean, I don't see a way back for Shoichi. It's this wonderful situation I like creating where you've got 2 attackers and there is nothing your opponent can do. Because if they take whichever one they take out, you attack with the other, and that will be the conclusion of the game. I don't think there is a route back for Shoichi. Tell me if I'm wrong, David.
Yeah, I mean, it looks like the only way is to just go boss's orders, Mana Fee, attack with Lost Mine a little bit, and just hope Todd accidentally ran out of energy cards to retreat with, but there are only 3 in play. There's 1 in the discard pile. There are
just attached with Gardevoir.
They're not to Mana Fee.
Oh no, of course, so Mana Fee is only psychic Pokemon.
But you really just have to pray that your opponent has no energy card in hand at all, and you cannot use Iono and boss's order at the same time. So
and you have to boss, because Iono, if you've used Iono, Todd's like, oh, cool.
Just
attack for the game.
Yeah, he wins. So.
There's a lot of decisions being made by Shoichi here. I've been in this situation now, and I know you've been in this situation where you're just thinking, there's got to be something.
Exactly, and there is no point in giving up here. The game is over if you give up, so why not just try to win it somehow?
Yeah, turn time has been called. Shoichi is turn 0. So if Shoichi has this turn, Todd has a turn, Shoichi has a turn, Todd has a turn. That is the conclusion of the game. I don't think we're going to get that far here. I think unless Shoichi is able to stall for a tie by, bringing something active, I think we might be done. Now we do see Comfey Flower selecting, grabbing a Super Rod. And there's more. Shoichi is clearly calculating something. There is something in Shoichi's mind here going, I think I've still got a bit of a chance. It might be as simple as just counting the energy that Todd has used.
Yeah, there's really... Shoichi's deck is almost only energy cards left because, I think he was trying to go for a big Kyogre play. Very interesting that he went for the Curlia earlier instead of the Mana Fee if the big Kyogre play was the one possibility. As we see Pidgeot, you saw the deck. There are only energy cards left in the deck. There's no boss's orders. So unless this attack is Fly, it's
Flight Surf. It's if you have a stadium in play and he doesn't, Todd does. So it's 80 damage. It doesn't do anything really relevant. It does 80 damage. Sableye is a better attacker right now than Pidgeot V is.
Yeah, but Pidgeot V has more HP, and right now there is even prize cards. As we see a Rocks.
Okay, so Shoichi here is basically going, look, I'm going to put you down to 2 cards with Roxanne, and I'm going to put a Pidgeot V in the active that I don't think you can KO. As you've said, both players have 3 prize cards remaining here. Reversal energy is turned off. and Gardevoir does 190. Pidgeot V has 210. Now, an Escape Rope would win the game, a Boss's Orders would win the game, enough energy onto a Zacian V would win the game.
Or just getting enough damage to use Moon Glow Reverse with Cresselia.
That would actually win the game as well.
And if Shoichi attacks, it might...
If there is
if I'm in Shoichi's spot, I do not attack here, because there is no way to win.
No. And there is at least one energy in the discard that you can put onto Cresselia, and then you can retreat Gardevoir, and Cresselia comes up and moves 80 damage onto a Comfey or a Sableye and wins the game.
If Shoichi attacks now, he lost just by game state. Oh no.
Pretty sure that gives the damage needed for Tord. So now we go over to Tord's side of the board, and I think it's as simple as using Gardevoir EX to attach to Cresselia.
Then 20 damage.
Then we retreat the Gardevoir, move the damage over to either Comfey or Sableye. It really doesn't matter which. And that is the final prize card, which is going to put Tord up to 6 wins and give him a great chance to get into top 8 of the World Championships.
Yeah, very exciting game. Definitely a roller coaster of emotions, basically. This should almost seal up. Like we said, it kind of depends on how many ties there are in different rounds. Very unfortunate conclusion to this game. You never really want to see it for any player to have like a, especially slow play, such a, it hurts so much, because sometimes you're just in the zone and you just want to make the best play, especially the World Championship, where everyone is just trying to do their best. Everyone tries to play the best, and in order to play the best, you have to think, and you need time to think, and then sometimes you just don't realize how long you have been sitting there thinking about the best turn. A judge comes to you and tells you, I'm very sorry, but to make it fair for everyone, we need to do something about this pace of play.